president-elect have a conflict of interest with his hotels, especially if they draw foreign diplomats? We'll investigate.
When we see the president, we want to say you have a wonderful hotel there. So he's really profiting from this.
And Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel met with Mr. Trump to try to change his position on illegal immigrants.
I also spoke out strongly about what it means to be a sanctuary city.
Plus, Florida lost another battle in a water war with Georgia that could hurt Florida fishermen. And state lawmakers could let college students carry guns on campus. This is Money, Power, and Politics.
Marissa, will start with President-elect Trump consoling victims of the attack at Ohio State University.
Yeah, last month, an 18-year-old student rammed his car into crowds, then started stabbing people. 11
people were injured in that particular attack, and it's driving a growing debate over how to stop these kinds of attacks in the future.
Here's Trump after his meeting with those victims.
And we just saw the victims and the families, and we were these were really brave people, amazing people. The police and first responders were incredible. The job done in particular by one young gentleman was incredible. And I got to meet him, and he was very brave. The families have done so well to come through this so well, and so a lot of respect.
Well, state lawmakers have a plan right here in Florida to stop these kinds of attacks on campuses in our state, but it is controversial because students all across Florida may soon have guns on college campuses.
Yeah, the plan would allow people with concealed weapon licenses to bring their guns onto public colleges and universities across Florida. Supporters say it could save lives, but critics say it could trigger more shootings, and there are solid arguments on both sides.
This is a Glock 26 or a 9mm.
Amanda Collins had a license to carry a handgun, but could not have it on her at the University of Nevada, Reno campus, where a rapist grabbed her in a parking lot in 2007.
He put a firearm to my temple, clicked off the safety, and told me not to say anything before he raped me.
They point to Amanda's story and the shooting at Florida State when a man named Myron May shot 3 students at a campus library in 2014. Former Senator Greg Evers tried to pass legislation last year.
Those gun-free zones are just an incubator for folks that won't follow the law.
Now, the guns on campus bill passed last year in the House, but stalled in the Senate. Florida is one of 18 states that ban concealed guns on college campuses.
An interesting back and forth. You have the critics who say guns in colleges just don't mix because students are still maturing and making mistakes. They're still there. Supporters say criminals will not going to give up their guns. So you have these gun-free zones. It just makes an attractive target for some deranged gunmen to come in. So this debate, of course, is just heating up.
Yes, it is. And meanwhile, state residents with concealed weapons licenses can now renew their permits online. They used to have to go to a government office. The Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services processes the applications, and Commissioner Adam Putnam says the new online system will make it much more convenient.
We want to make sure that all of our checks are thorough, but that there's an efficient process for the public. In order to get a concealed weapons license, you're volunteering an awful lot of personal information about yourself. You're having to submit to fingerprinting. So we know that the people who are going through that process are law-abiding citizens.
And we have some bad news tonight for state fishermen in the state seafood industry.
Yeah, Florida has been at war with the state of Georgia over access to water.
Basically, Georgia is scooping up water that naturally flows into the state of Florida, and the Army Corps of Engineers will let Georgia take even more water.
We first met the Alea family a couple of years ago on their Florida vacation.
And one of the things we look forward to is obviously the seafood.
Especially Florida oysters. Skipper Smokehouse specializes in that, but Florida oysters can be in short supply.
There's been days where we could not serve oysters.
And when they do, they don't always come from Florida because for years, Florida oyster beds have been in danger.
It's embarrassing even. People come from all over the world and they expect to have Florida oysters.
So now they have to settle for oysters from other states.
Oh, I definitely know the difference, yeah.
That one's already dead. And meanwhile, these poor fishermen and their families, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Our oyster industry is clustered north of Tampa Bay around Apalachicola, and it depends on a natural flow of fresh water to keep it alive. And for years, people in Georgia have been sucking that water away.
We're allowing it to die and everybody's sitting back sleeping while it happens.
3 years ago, fishermen begged Congress for help.
You know, man made this disaster. Man can fix this disaster. Man needs to do his job.
They wanted Georgia to stop interfering with the water flow into Florida. But Georgia needs more and more water for the sprawling population of Atlanta.
That's all governed by state of Georgia law.
And so with this, the Army Corps of Engineers will give Georgia an extra 28 million gallons of water per day, and the federal government from here on will decide how the rest of this war, of course, plays out.
Which brings us to the transition in Washington now.
Yeah.
Today, President-elect Trump picked Scott Pruitt to lead the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yeah, and he's the Attorney General of Oklahoma who sued the EPA. Pruitt has some strong support from the oil and gas industry there in Oklahoma, and this is yet another pick who can pick away or sort of cut from within.
And the Trump team says Pruitt will help the new administration roll back regulations and, quote, anti-energy agenda that has destroyed jobs, end quote.
And the president-elect also picked retired General John Kelly to lead the Department of Homeland Security. So do not expect the next administration to close Guantanamo Bay detention facility. General Kelly strongly supports it for keeping accused terrorists and enemy combatants.
And more of Trump's conservative critics are praising his cabinet decisions. For example,
yeah, you do. You have Tom Rooney. I was going to step in there. Tom Rooney is one of them. Remember, he rescinded his endorsement of the president-elect before the election. Now he's praising his picks over and over again. And there's somebody else too, right?
Yeah, and then there's our former governor, Jeb Bush.
Yeah, that was your pick there. What did he say?
Yeah, check out these tweets. Can't imagine a better pick than my friend Scott Pruitt to reform an out-of-control EPA. He'll bring common sense back to the agency. And General Kelly is a great choice to lead the Department of Homeland Security. And Betsy DeVos is an outstanding pick for Secretary of Education. I look forward to her bold leadership.
Wait a minute. I remember when Trump humiliated Jeb Bush not too long ago.
It wasn't that long ago, and Bush broke his pledge and refused to support Trump.
So he's got to be swallowing an awful lot of pride right now, especially the way that Trump tripped him up a little earlier. Yeah.
So are you saying that that's tonight's Trail Tales?
Yeah, it is. It is the Trail Tales. It's an old classic, one of my favorites. It's story time now, folks, with Trump and Jeb.
It's time now for Trail Tales.
The joyful turtle.
I tell people I'm the tortoise in the race.
He called himself the joyous tortoise.
I do this with joy in my heart.
But then he got taunted by the hare.
Let's say he's president.
The turtle thought that hare was silly. But as the turtle's hopes dimmed, people started making fun of him.
You know what's happening to Jeb's crowd, as you know, right down the street? They're sleeping.
So the joyful turtle went on a mission.
I do have a bunch of turtles.
He loaded his pockets with tiny treats for every good boy and girl he meets.
So right after his little speech, he walked over to me and gave me this little tortoise and said, slow and steady wins the race.
Why is the joyful turtle so sad?
Well, he was very, very fond of turtles.
They're from Florida. They're mighty turtles.
And as he kept fishing them out of his pants...
Let's see what I got here. I got the little baby Jesus, got my rosary beads, and I got 3 turtles.
It made more people laugh.
Jeb Bush carries tiny toy turtles in his pocket and hands them out to children.
And it's a little bit sad.
But the joyful turtle knows how the story ends.
This is a long haul, and slow, steady wins the race.
Then he remembered it's just a children's story, and he's in a real-life fight.
Donald Trump is a jerk.
Calling an opponent a loser, a whiner, and a liar.
Well, he is a whiner.
So he stopped calling himself the joyful tortoise.
I'm a joyful warrior.
And hoped it's not too late to catch that feisty hare.
Please clap.
That's just sad.
There you go.
Coming up, Charlie Belcher hopefully will have some more laughs for us. Well, he does have some interesting letters tonight in our mailroom.
Yeah, and we're going to take a closer look at the meetings in Trump Tower and concerns about a potential conflict of interest for the president-elect. And so the president-elect meets with, of all people, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel to talk about immigration.
Yeah, our colleague Mike Flannery caught up with the mayor to find out how it all played out.
Emanuel said he gave Trump a letter signed by 14 mayors. They asked the president-elect not to deport immigrants brought into the U.S. illegally as children. Advocates dubbed them dreamers.
We are clear as mayors that these are dreamers who are seeking the American dream.
Emanuel said he and Trump talked for 45 minutes, mostly one-on-one. He said the president-elect asked for lessons the mayor had learned as President Obama's first chief of staff. The mayor then met separately for about 20 minutes with Trump's soon-to-be White House chief of staff, Reince Priebus, and with senior advisor Steve Bannon. Bannon was an anti-illegal immigration hawk when he ran Breitbart.com. It's a website that often mocks Chicago and other so-called sanctuary cities for not cooperating with enforcement of immigration laws.
I also spoke out strongly about what it means to be a sanctuary city where we support and secure the people that are here, like my grandfather who came to the city of Chicago as a 13-year-old 100 years ago.
The mayor studiously avoided quoting anything that Trump or his top two advisors said during this first post-election meeting. Doing that, Emanuel has said, would guarantee there won't be another meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mike. And now time for one of our favorite segments of the week, right?
Yeah, we received some very nice letters this week. Let's send it over to Charlie in our viewer mailroom.
Money Power Politics audience, Charlie Belcher here. You never know where I might pop up. I typically pop up here at the Money Power Politics mail room at least once a week to check the mail that is magically delivered here. You've sent it to us. The least I can do is respond to you. Shall we get to it this week? Yes, we shall. Email number 1 says, Craig, love Political Squares game show with John Wilson and Charlie as the new center square. Would love to see Obama versus Trump. Signed, Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca. I love seeing John Wilson back on Fox 13, and that is a very fun show to be a part of. And I like your idea. Obama versus Trump. Can we pull that off? Craig Patrick, do you have any contacts there? Mr. President? Mr. President-elect? Come on to Tampa. Let us do that with you, shall we? That'd be fun. I'll let you know if we hear back from them, Rebecca. Next email. Craig, your name came up at dinner last night. Spoken with much affection. Signed, Virginia. Well, good. You don't always want things coming up during dinner. So I'm glad it was Craig, and I'm glad it was positive. All right, next email. Dear Craig, great work. Keep it up. Travis. Thanks, Travis. He will. Next email says, Craig, my 13-year-old daughter and myself are both fans of the show. Congratulations. Signed, Angela. 13 years old, and you're getting them into politics already. Well, very nice. I hope she enjoys the show. Hi. You didn't tell me what her name is, but hi, Angela's 13-year-old daughter. Go to sleep now. It's past your bedtime. Unless you're watching on YouTube, and then that's fine. Although, be careful watching stuff on YouTube. Okay, sorry, Angela, you're a good mom. Go back to it. Next email says, Craig, great job. Like I've mentioned many times, best political show out there, and how a major network hasn't snatched you from us is beyond me. I'm grateful they haven't for our sake, but it's still beyond my comprehension. Signed, Alan. Alan, we're going to keep Craig around here, and we are a major network. We're a Fox TV station owned by Fox. So this is the most powerful news in Tampa Bay. We're going to keep Craig. And finally, our good friend Sherry. She's always good for a great email. She says, Dear Craig, I heard the crash unit and immediately pulled over to the side of McMullen Booth. No one else did. They need to put a foghorn on crash units. Too many radios and too much car noises and heavy traffic. Signed, Sherry. Sherry, you're right. We all need to do a better job paying attention to those emergency vehicles. If you see the flashing lights and if you hear a siren, for goodness sakes, pull over and get out of their way. You think it should sound something like this? Maybe. Maybe we should all just be paying a little closer attention when we're behind the wheel. Good advice, Sherry. Thanks a lot, folks. Keep those emails coming. You can see we'll cover whatever topic you want to cover. Send them to us at mppmailbag@yahoo.com. That's mppmailbag@yahoo.com. You send them, I'll read them and respond. Yeah. Until next week.
All right, thank you, Charlie. And coming up, we're going to look into claims the president-elect may have a conflict of interest.
It's not just Vice President-elect Mike Pence using the glamorous new Trump International Hotel as a backdrop for major events to promote President-elect Donald Trump's brand.
We truly do believe that our president-elect has secured a mandate for leadership.
While there's no mandate to stay at Mr. Trump's Washington hotel, many are doing so anyway. On Wednesday, it was the government of Bahrain hosting its National Day reception here, amid reports that delegations from various foreign countries are eagerly snapping up pricey rooms less than a mile from the White House. One Asian diplomat telling the Washington Post, "Why wouldn't I stay at his hotel blocks from the White House so I can tell the new president, I love your new hotel? Isn't it rude to come to his city and say, I am staying at your competitor?"
They are saying that, of course, we'll stay at the Trump Hotel. We're going to go see the president. And when we see the president, we want to say, you have a wonderful hotel there. So he's really profiting from this. And it really creates real conflicts of interest.
At issue is the Foreign Emoluments Clause of the Constitution, which bars U.S. government officials from accepting gifts from foreign powers without congressional approval. In addition to the government of Bahrain pouring money into the Trump organization's coffers, the Azerbaijani embassy is hosting a Hanukkah party at the Trump Hotel next week. Shortly after his election, Mr. Trump declared he'd distance himself from the business and make sure his children take on a bigger role in the Trump organization. As he and his daughter Ivanka told CBS's 60 Minutes, the company's brand paled in comparison to governing.
I don't think it matters. This is so much more important and more serious, and so that that's the focus.
I think what Ivanka is trying to say: who cares? Who cares? This is big league stuff. This is our country. Our country is going bad. We're going to save our country. I don't care about hotel occupancy. It's peanuts compared to what we're doing.
With the president-elect now promising a December 15th news conference where he'll officially turn over the business to his children, good government groups are suggesting that is not enough, and the entire family should get out of the business.
I think this is a really dangerous area, and I think he's going to see it. Hopefully he's going to see it. And they're just going to divest.
And that was Ed Henry reporting. Coming up, Santa's helpers were in Clearwater today. I'll have the story after the break.
Well, the Clearwater Police Department offered Old St. Nick some help today, Marissa.
Yeah, at the Walmart in Clearwater, officers loaded their cars with toys. The presents will be delivered to less fortunate children December 18th at the corner of Marshall and Myrtle in Clearwater. It's an annual event for the department, and I can tell you, I talked to the public information officer who said that there were so many people at that Walmart today who are so thankful for what they're doing, so thank you for what you do.
Awful lot of cards, too. Fantastic. My goodness, thank all of you for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow night. Take care.